Okay, this is assignment 1 review. This is for your grade enhancement plan, assignment 1. That could bump up your first 9 weeks letter grade by 1 letter. So I'm going to review a few problems. This assignment goes over ratios and rates, which we've already talked about at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to refresh your memory on a few problems that might help you through the assignment 1 on Agile Minds. So first, we have this first problem. It says the band boosters sell popcorn for 50 cents a bag. Which of the following statements are true? Select all that apply. Okay, so first one says, if Tom spent $5.50 on popcorn, he bought 9 bags. I could get my calculator out. If it's 50 cents a bag, 50 cents times 9 bags, he paid $4.50. So this is not correct, so I would not check that box. The next one says when the band boosters sell 16 bags, they make $9. So again, it was 50 cents a bag times 16. Whoops, I need to clear. 16 bags times 50 cents a bag. I got $8, so that one does not look like it is correct either. It says 50 cents is the unit price for a bag of popcorn. They said 50 cents is the price for a bag of popcorn, so that one is, that's a terrible check mark, but that one is correct. Next statement says for every 2 bags sold, the band booster earns $1. So if they sold 2 bags at 50 cents, that gives them $1, so I'd agree that that one is also correct. If Tom bought 6 bags, he paid $3. So I could come over here, 6 times 50 cents gives you $3, so it looks like that one is correct as well. Okay, that is one problem. I think I have 10 put together here. The next problem says, photographs are often enlarged or reduced. The photo must be scaled proportionally so the image is not distorted. The graph shows the relationship between the width and the height of the photograph. Use the graph to determine the constant of proportionality of the height to the width in simplified form. Okay, so we should have remembered that constant of proportionality, to find that, is y over x. Okay, so here's my x-axis, here's my y. It's always written x comma y, but I need to put it in this form. So the x is 6, so that's 6. The y is 4, and they wanted that in simplest form. So I need to reduce that. I can divide both of those by 2, and I get 2/3. Then I see, can it be reduced anymore? And it cannot. So 2/3 is my constant of proportionality. Y over x is what you have to remember there. They give this as x comma y. So I need to put it in proper form to be able to simplify. Okay, it says you are traveling down a highway averaging 50 miles per hour. How much time has passed when you have traveled 120 miles? Okay, so you are traveling 50 miles per 1 hour, and they want to know how much time has passed in 120 miles. Well, I have miles written up top, so I need 120 miles to be on top here. And I need to know how much time that is. Okay, so if you remember from back several months ago, we could do our little high heel method where I multiply and divide to see what that is. So 1 times 120 gives me 120. I need to divide it by 50. So 120 divided by 50, I get 2.4. So I need to look at these answers, and I see 2.4 hours. I need to make sure that is the best choice. That says there's not enough information to determine it. There's plenty of information to determine it. 5/12 of an hour or 25 minutes. We did not get that, so it looks like that is our best option. Okay, so moving to next problem. At the store, 2 brands are sold. Brand A is offered at 6 for 85 cents. Brand B is offered 8 for $1. Which brand is the better buy? To be able to determine this, I need to find a unit price. A unit price is where you see how much it costs per one item. So I need to break brand A and B down to one item to see what is the better buy. So let's look at brand A is 6 for 85. So I need to do 85 cents divided by 6 to see how much it's going to cost for one item. So 0.85 divided by 6. And we're talking money here, so money is 2 decimal places. So 14 is that decimal place. That 1 does not round the 4 up. So we're talking about 14 cents per item for brand A. Brand B says it costs $1 for 8 items. So I need to divide $1 by 8 to see how much it costs per one item. Remember, money is 2 decimals. So the 1 and the 2, but that 5 rounds the 2 up to a 3, so that costs 13 cents per item. Okay, so I need to read through these options to see which one sounds the best, because it looks like brand B is the better buy. So the question said, which brand is the better buy? So I know it cannot be this one, because it says brand A, and that's not even true. This says brand A, so that's not even true. This says A and B are the same, so that's not true. So it has to be between these two. This says brand B because the unit price is 8, and that is greater than 6. That is not the unit price. These are the unit price. This says brand B because its unit price is less than brand A. So it looks like this is the correct answer for this problem. Okay, next question. Jen walked half of a mile in 1/6 of an hour. At this rate, how long will it take her to walk 1.5 miles to the park? Okay. I don't want to deal with fractions. Half is pretty easy to work with mentally in my head. She walked 1.5 miles. I know that there are 3 halves making up 1.5. So I'm going to do some little tricks so I don't have to work so hard with these fractions. So what I'm going to do is I know how to make a double line graph, I know that 1/2 of a mile took her 1/6 of an hour. She needs to walk a total of 1.5 miles. Well, if I add another half to that, she's at 1 mile. If I add another half to that, she's at 1.5 miles. So each of these sections is adding another 6 to it. So 1/6 plus another 1/6 gives me 2/6 for this, or 1/3. Then I need to add another 1/6 because each section represents 1/6. So 2/6 plus 1/6 gives me 3/6, which reduces to 1/2. And this is talking about hours. So looking for the correct answer for 1.5 miles, which she wants to walk, it's going to take 1/2 of an hour, or 3/6 of an hour, which would be this option there. All right, let's try another. Drew is helping his dad retile the floor of a house after school. At the end of each day, he counts how many tiles he laid and how long it took. Use the data in the table to calculate 2 unit rates. Be sure to change minutes to hours as needed. Enter your answer as a whole number, simplified fraction, or decimal rounded to the nearest hundredths place. Alright, so we have a different amount of tiles here. And the first unit rate they want us to find is tiles per 1 hour. Okay, so they don't have it in 1 hour. They have it in hours and minutes. And I want to look at this one, I think, because I know that this is 1.5 hours. I could write this number as 1.5. Why can I write it as 1.5? Because I know 30 minutes is 1/2 of an hour. And that looks better than this long part here. And I want to see how much it takes for 1 hour. So for this particular unit rate, they want per hour, which is per 1 hour. So what I'm going to do, I like it set up as a fraction. So I'm going to look tiles per 1 hour. Okay, and again, I said I was going to use this one just because it's easier for me, that I know that is an easy decimal for me to work with. So this one says the time is 1.5 hours, and they laid 18 tiles. So again, I have a fraction. I'm going to circle my 2 numbers that's across from each other. Those will be multiplied. I square the other one. That will be divided. And when I do that, 1 times 18 is 18. Divide it by 1.5. 18 divided by 1.5 equals 12. So he can do 12 tiles per 1 hour. Okay, then they gave us a different unit rate. They want to look hours per 1 tile this time. So hours per 1 tile. Okay, I'm going to use the same fraction. So hours is at top now, so 1.5 hours. And they do 18 tiles. So I'm finding my 2 numbers that's across from each other. So 1 times 1.5 is 1.5. I'm going to divide that by 18. 1.5 divided by 18 and I get a decimal, and they said that was all right. Decimals rounded to the nearest hundredths place. Hundredths is 2 decimal places. So the 0 is in the tenths, the 8 is in the hundredths. I got to see if the number behind the 8 will round it up. It's a 3, it does not round it up. So the decimal would be 0.08 hours per tile is how much time it takes to lay 1 tile. All right, that one can be a little tricky. As long as you're writing it correctly, it's not so tricky. Okay, it says, at the World Snail Racing Championship, oh Lord, that's going to be a slow championship, a garden snail named Speedy moved half of a foot in 1.5 minutes. At this rate, how many minutes will it take him to complete a course that is 1.5 feet long? All right, so half of a foot, he goes in this amount of time. I'm going to do another double line plot for this. His first one says he goes half of a foot and in that half of a foot, it takes him 1.5 minutes. He needs to go 1.5 feet. Well, I know 1.5 feet. I need another half. That gives me 1 whole foot. Then another half gives me 1.5 feet. Okay, so there's my bar. I know each of these bars represent 1.5 minutes. So this is a 1.5 minute, 1.5 minute, 1.5 minute. If I was to add all those 3 together, I can 1.5 plus 1.5, that gives me 3. 3 plus 1 is 4 plus a half, gives me 4.5 minutes. Or I could have multiplied 1.5 times 3, because there's 3 sections, and 4.5 minutes is my option there. Okay, it says if a car's average gas mileage is 34 miles per gallon of gas and it travels 153 miles, how many gallons of gasoline has it used? Do not round your answer. Alright, so it traveled a total of 153 miles. I need to see how many gallons it used. So I'm going to take 153 and I'm going to divide it by 34 because I need to see how many gallons it used. 153 divided by 34, I get 4.5. So that's how much gallons of gas it's using. It says do not round your answer, so I would type in 4.5 for that answer. All right. A local bagel shop has a sign showing the price of various number of bagels. 4 cost $1.40, 6 $2.10, 12 is $4.20. Find the constant of proportionality from the table and use it to fill in the equation that relates the number of bagels x to the cost of y. Okay, so there's some things we need to remember. Constant of proportionality is y over x. Okay, and we need to remember that the first column is always your x, second column is your y. And they give a constant of proportionality equation. You just have to type in the constant of proportionality. So I need to take one of these sets and put it y over x. I'm going to move to my board so I can write better without my mouse. I'm just going to pick the first one. It doesn't matter which one you pick. And my y value of the first one is $1.40, so that's going to go on top. My x value is 4. I want to try and simplify that. I notice both of these are even. I want to see if I can break that down to where it's a 1. And since that's a decimal, I most likely can. So 4 times or divided by what gives me 1. Here I have to divide by 4 to get 1. So I'm going to divide this by 4. $1.40 divided by 4. So that means it costs 35 cents for 1 bagel. So I know what my constant of proportionality is. Do you have to have write the over 1 if it's understood to be over 1? No. So this is pointless. I can just write 0.35 cents. 0.35 would be my constant of proportionality. I brought it from 4 to a 1. Whatever I did to the bottom, I have to do to the top, so that's why I did that. All right, next problem. D is painting some fencing. After 2/3 hour, she has painted 4.5 feet of fencing. What is the rate in feet per hour at which she is painting? Fill in the blanks to express your answer as a mixed number in simplest form. Alrighty, so 2/3 of an hour she paints 4.5 feet. We want to know the rate per hour. So she wants a whole hour completed. She's only done 2/3 of an hour. So what I'm going to do here is look at another double line graph because it makes it simpler for me to understand. So I'm going to do my whole 3/3. And I know 3/3 is also equal just to 1 whole. I'm going to divide this bar into 3 sections. It's not very even, but it works out. I know 2/3 of it, the hours. 2/3 would be right here. And that gives me 4.5 feet. So this is feet down here. I need to know this amount for 1 whole hour. That's what they're wanting to know. So I know 2/3 is 4.5 feet. I'm curious to know how much 1/3 would be. Well, 1/3's got to be half of 2/3, because that's 1 is half of 2. So half of 4.5. Well, half of 4 is 2. Half of a half is 1/4. So for 1/3 hour, it takes 2 1/4 feet to paint. With me knowing this, I know that a 2/3 and a 1/3 add up to 3/3. So that means I can add a 4.5, which is the same thing as a 2/3. I can add, I need to get at 3/2. So to get me at 3/2, I need a 1/3. And a 1/3 represents 2 1/4. It's kind of like a puzzle. So how much is all that? Well, 4 plus 2 gives me 6. I have a half and a 1/4. I need common denominators. I know this is also 2/4. So 2/4 plus 1/4 gives me 3/4. So for 1 hour, they're able to paint 6 3/4 feet of fencing. So I would come over here and do 6 3/4 feet per hour is what they're able to paint. Let's see, is there another one? Nope, that is it. So you all should be good to go on assignment 1 on Agile Minds. If you don't get 80% or better, you can work on the assignment 1 in Alex to still be able to possibly bump it up. Email me when you have done so I can work on bumping up your grade. Again, this is for your first 9 weeks grade. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and peace out, llamas.